Hello, my lovelies, and welcome to this episode of Coach Cara's podcast, Itchy, Bitchy, and Guests. Today, I'm going to speak about something that I've actually been speaking about for just over a week now. Because I think it's important to be able to party and socialise without feeling guilty. Yeah, so I'm going to speak about that today because I find it quite interesting that we quite often associate food choices, alcohol choices, the amount of food and alcohol that we drink with guilt. And it's just quite shite. So, midlife women, overeating, overdrinking, overthinking. Like, come on, really? Have you ever heard any midlife women say that they overthink everything? Anyway, if you are a midlife woman, right, and you like a good, do you know how you just get like good nights out? Sometimes you just actually want to go out and just like get mortal. Anyway, so if you like a good night out, a celebration, a holiday, or even just a Friday, but after it you're spending like days feeling guilty, then this is for you, all right? I'm not speaking about alcohol and the fear. I'm not speaking about that kind of fear. I'm speaking about the guilt, about you always associating good times with guilt after it, basically. You're always associating the food that you're eating and the alcohol that you're drinking with calories, and not just with calories, but with them being bad calories. This is the kind of guilt that we're speaking about because I don't want you to guilt your way through midlife, right? I don't want you to have a life that for every time that you feel that you're having fun or that you do something good, that it's directly counterbalanced by something bad or by guilt or by the way you speak to yourself or by starting again on Monday and reining your calories into 1,000. I don't want you to live like that. We need to find a balance for you. That's it. We just need to find a balance. Yeah? So quite often the case is that it's not that you can't be, I realise that I'm making you sound like a 2-year-old now, but it's not that you can't be trusted around food or drink, right? It's just that a lot of the time we do stuff unintentionally or we do stuff without intention. Without intent? Yeah, that's right. That sounded all wrong when I said those two words together. So we don't do it with intention. That sounds better. Anyway, yeah, I don't know what that problem is. So everything changes when we get to midlife, right? You follow me, you know this. Everything changes. Your hormones change, our bodies change, the way our brain thinks changes, our confidence changes, our self-trust, our tolerance levels, our priorities, everything pretty much changes, right? But the rules, they should still, well, do you know, fuck it, let's just change the rules as well. Why wouldn't we do that? Why wouldn't we do that? You know, we're not 21 anymore, we don't need to live by anybody's rules. Yeah, I've got the key at the door and all that malarkey. So, I'm going to talk about socialising, weekends, Christmas, without spiralling into overeating, overdrinking and overthinking. Overdrinking and overthinking, see what I did there? Yeah, we just don't want to overthink every decision that we ever make because that's just guilt. Anyway, no restriction, no punishment. Do you know what? See, quite a lot of the times, right, in the job that I do, right, well, I don't even know if it's a job, but you know what I mean, in the coaching world that I do, it's about, like, if I say to people, right, no restriction, they often think that means I'm telling them that they can go to the fridge and eat 9 Freddos anytime they like, or they can sit on the sofa and eat 5 bags of crisps anytime they like, or they can go out every weekend and party every Friday and Saturday night and get takeaways, and then if they do that and they don't get fat loss, then it's my fault because I've said no restriction, right? Whereas in fact, what I actually mean by no restriction is me and you working on your mindset so that you actually want to choose the healthy option 90% of the time. or 80% of the time, that you actually choose to not eat the 6 bars of chocolate, or the kebab and the pizza, or the pizza and the chips, or whatever your thing is. So that's what I mean by no restriction. It's about rewiring your brain and getting you confident enough to make your choices align with your goals. That's what I mean. Anyway, I felt like I just had to clarify that. Anyway, it's about confidence and it's about choices. And that's another thing. We forget a lot of the time that we have choice. Right, there's always a choice. There's literally always a choice. You see, even if you were standing against a wall and something had gone to your head, there would be a choice. It might be a shitty choice, but that's maybe not an actually very good analogy. Anyway, my brain's a bit overdrive the day. Anyway, hope that never offended anybody, but there you go. Right, we want you to be the woman that actually knows what she's doing. So we don't want you to be the woman that's lurching from one situation to another situation, doing what you think everybody expects you to do, but not being happy with that. That's what we don't want to be, all right? So overeating. How easy is it, by the way, to overeat at social events, especially if there's buffets, but even if you're out for dinner? It can be quite easy to overeat, I would say, definitely, right? And it doesn't necessarily mean lack of willpower. It's usually exactly what I said earlier that didn't sound quite right in my head, lack of intention. So a lot of the time we will blame something else, like, well, it's Christmas. Yeah, it would be rude not to. Everybody else is drinking. Everybody else is having 5 starters, 8 main courses and 3 puddings. So why wouldn't I do that? Well, it's their birthday and they've went to a lot of effort, so I can't not drink. Do you get what I'm saying? We're handing that decision to somebody else and we're technically just going with the flow. And if that's what you want to do, that's totally cool, right? That was me for a very, very long time. I'd totally go with the flow. I would just so easily led, honestly. But sometimes it just comes to the stage that, you know what, you actually just want to make your own decisions. So it's about not necessarily handing control over to somebody else or handing control over to the actual occasion. I have actually had a conversation, right, with a client not that long ago, who told me that she couldn't lose weight because her husband cooks meals. As you can imagine, it was a bit of a like what the fuck moment. And I'm like, right, so do you plan the meal? No, my husband likes to plan the meals, so he plans the meals and he does the shopping and he cooks the meals. Well, I'm sorry, but if you want fat loss, you're actually going to have to fucking take control and stop blaming your husband. Because even though you're wording that in a nice manner, like, my husband cooks all the meals, that sounds fucking amazing, right? But you're still actually blaming him and you're just letting yourself accept no responsibility. Anyway, it's usually without intention, all right? And we blame other things like it's the birthday, it's the Christmas, it's whatever, all right? So what we would like you to do, I say we, that's me, or Jasper, if you want to count Jasper, he's on the bed, is I want you to decide before you arrive at the social event, whatever that event is, right? And it could be like, so what do I want to enjoy today? I'll give you an example. I am going out on Sunday, right, for lunch to the Moonlight Kitchen in Falkirk, right? If you've ever been, I'm sure you'll agree, it's amazing. It's a Nepalese and Indian restaurant, right? And if you've not been, you should absolutely go. It is like awesome. It's got all the best Indian dishes, but it's got a lot of chef specials, which are usually Nepalese, and it's lovely. And they have the best momos, which are like little dumplings. And my 2 favourite things on the menu are a lamb biryani and their paneer curry. Their paneer curry is probably my favourite because the paneer comes on a sizzling griddle pan. It's just like amazing. Anyway, I'm going all in with that. I'm not drinking. I'm not having any alcohol in my dinner, so I'm going to have a starter of momos, probably. I might have fish pakora. The fish pakora is very nice. Anyway, it's about you deciding. So I want you to think about what you're going to enjoy, right? So obviously when I go out, I'm totally going to enjoy it. There's 9 of us going. So I'm absolutely going to enjoy the chat of the 8 other people. Of course I am. But I'm also going to enjoy the food because I'm not drinking alcohol. So I'm just going to enjoy it. I'm just going to go all in and I'm just going to have what I fancy. All right. So before the next social event, I want you to think about what it is that you're actually going to enjoy from that social occasion. Now, if the beige buffet is your thing, right, and that's like your ideal scenario of food, then decide that you're going to enjoy that, and then decide if you're going to trade anything so that you can super enjoy it. And it's not about saying no, and it's not about sitting in a corner and being miserable. It's about deciding the things that are going to make you happy, especially at this time of year, right? If you're in a fat loss phase, or if you're you want to improve your health, or you want to improve your relationship with food, right? Going up to a beige buffet 5 times is maybe not going to align with your goals, but there are other things that you can do. Maybe you could go up to that beige buffet twice and trade some alcoholic drinks for it, or you decide that you're that you're not going to have a pudding. So it's about you picking the things that you want to enjoy. Maybe you're not going to go anywhere near the buffet because you would actually rather just have a couple of glasses of wine and stand and get all the chat and the laughter. So you'll have something to eat before you go. It's just about deciding what's going to work for you and what's not going to work for you. So it's about you deciding what you're going to enjoy at that social situation. Like, what are your top priorities to enjoy? And then following on from that, looking at the slightly bigger picture as if you do that today, because that's what you want to enjoy, how's that going to make you feel tomorrow? For example, I had another conversation with a client earlier, actually, for my On Fire group check-ins this morning, that she had some nibbles from the beige buffet, and it hasn't particularly made her feel particularly well today, so she feels a bit bloated and the scales have shot up. Now, most of those things are probably, in fact, both of those things are due to eating salty food, and she maybe didn't drink as much water as she usually does, to be fair. So that will make the scales leap up if you're eating salty food that you're not used to. Do you know, like highly processed food like sausage rolls, pizza squares, etc., etc. And it's not necessarily going to make you feel better the next day because the scales are going to have jumped up and you're going to feel bloated, so it's going to feel like your waistband's tight, and that's not a particularly comfortable feeling. But we don't give I don't give my clients rows. Do you know, they're all adults, they're all capable of making their own decisions. But over this social period, I am suggesting to my clients that if they're in a social situation, whether they're all in or whether they're not, is we're just reviewing it the day after. So we're just thinking about floating the situation through our head and how we acted and what we did, and then deciding if it was worth it, or if next time we're in that same situation, would we do anything differently? So that's it. No guilt, nothing like that. Just merely an opportunity to learn from that experience and potentially make some changes next time. Yeah? So you just need to decide, when it comes to food and drink, you need to decide what it's worth. What's worth spending your calories on? What's worth being hanging the more at? What situations are worse and what are worth it and what situations aren't? Right, it leads me on quite, as we're speaking about overeating, it leads me on quite nicely to over drinking, right? And it does hit us differently in midlife. Again, I had another conversation on WhatsApp with a client during the week. She was asking about why does alcohol, have I just lost my tolerance for alcohol? And why is it staying in my body for longer, like the hangovers are worse and stuff. And if you follow me, you all know where I am with my journey on alcohol at the moment, or without alcohol at the moment. I'm not even going to say that I'm teetotal or that I'm alcohol free, because it's literally been, I don't even think it's been a month. Right, so I'm not going to get all smug and all gallus, because I've said at the time it could go either way, and I could drink again. I could totally be the woman up at the bar shouting shots next time because I've turned into an absolute dick. But it does hit differently, and I do hear it in my ladies that lift as well. There's a lot of, we seem to be able to drink less than we used to, and it hangs around our body for a lot longer. So the hangovers are worse and the hangovers are longer. Like 2-day hangover, that's not even a joke when you get to our age. It's just, that's the norm kind of thing. So our alcohol tolerance, the science behind it, it does actually, our alcohol tolerance gets less with age, with hormones, and also sometimes when you're stressed, which is why it's quite easy to go out on a Friday night after a shitty work week and get steaming on like half a bottle of wine or a bottle of wine or whatever, all right? Also, obviously, your alcohol, it disrupts your sleep, it causes anxiety, it causes inflammation, it makes the scales rocket, and it's just like the mental side of it as well. Do you know, it can give you the fear, it can give you palpitations, etc. the day after. And again, I am absolutely not preaching to you. This is about you deciding what works for you and what doesn't, and whether you can choose what situations to go all in or what situations to have a couple of drinks and in what situations to not drink. It's about you deciding before you go and then sticking to that, because if you don't decide before you go and you're like, oh, I'll maybe have a drink, right? 99% of the time, maybe it'll turn into, I will. Absolutely, of course it will, right? Because we don't commit. So think how you feel. Think how you'll feel the next day. Do you know, I think there might be an element of smugness going on, that if you decide that you are going to not drink, so that you're not going to drink. That was terrible English. This was probably the worst day that I could have come on and done a podcast. Anyway, or if you're going to introduce a drink limit, which a couple of my clients also have done as well. And yes, their drink limit has maybe dropped. I have one lady that was a 5 and she now has 3 drinks because she can't handle 5. But it's about setting a non-negotiable for you, setting a limit for you, sticking to it, waking up the next morning feeling bloody awesome. So sometimes that works for people. Sometimes alternating drinks, like alcoholic drink water. I was never very good at that, to be fair. I didn't remember to drink the water. And then other people, again, like the drink limit. Set your drink limit so that when you're just a wee bit buzzing and a wee bit happy and a wee bit drunk, you just stop. But again, that requires an element of willpower. So, and it's not about being boring. It's about being self-aware and just about finding out what works for you, pretty much. So overthinking. So we've done overeating, overdrinking, and overthinking. Like, who's an overthinker? Like, could you? I work very hard not to overthink things, but it still sneaks in every now and again. And it's that the next day, right? And it's that downward spiral. So it's like, oh my God, I've actually fucked it. I am a weak-ass bitch with no self-control. I'm hungover. I might as well just write the day off. This is the problem. It's this all in, all out attitude. I'm either on it or I'm off it. And that's not necessarily the case, right? I do say to my clients all the time, right? And the clients that are with me absolutely know this, because most of them have been with me for a while now. The last coaching launch that I did was for my On Fire. Right, now that was way back in September, and my clients are still with me in that. You know, we've just turned it into we've just carried it on a monthly basis. So even all of these clients who have only been with me for a relatively short space of time, since the end of September, they know that it's not the social situation that fucks anything. It's continuing that social situation and that party for the next 5 days. So it's like going out and getting steaming and having some amazing food and alcohol. That's totally cool, by the way. Waking up the next day with a hangover, right? And at no point ever will I tell my clients if they're hungover that they should be eating salad, right? That's not even realistic. Just do what you need to do to get yourself through that day, and then get back to it the day after. If you can get back to it sooner than that, amazing, right? But get back to it the day after at the very latest. Then the scales will start to drop back down again. You'll start to feel awesome, not because of the scales that have dropped down, all right? You're just getting back to it. So you're drinking your water, you've got a decent night's sleep behind you, you're still training, you're doing everything that you said you were going to do as planned, even though you missed a day because you were hungover or whatever. That's fine. But if you continue, so just say you go out on Saturday night, you get steaming, you're hungover to fuck on the Sunday, right? You've written Sunday off, you've had a fry up for your breakfast, crisp for your lunch, and a takeaway for your dinner, right? At least try and get out your bed or whatever and function enough to prep your breakfast for Monday morning. Prep your breakfast on Monday morning, have your lunch and dinner as you'd plan to do. Even if you're on a slight 2-day hangover, getting back to it straight away will give you confidence and self-belief, and you will see everything come back to normal. Your sleep will get back to its usual awesome self. You'll feel less bloated. The scales will drop if you're on a fat loss phase and if that's what you're measuring. So that will make you feel awesome. However, if you are like, oh, do you know what? It's the Monday before Christmas. I fucked it because I got steaming 2 nights ago. I'm just going to treat it like Party Central. And then off you toodle to Greg's and then you're in the takeaway shop for your dinner every night, 4 or 5 days in a row. Then yeah, of course you're going to feel like shit. Of course you are. Whereas if you just had that one night and then got back to it as soon as you could, you'd be smashing life. Honestly, you'd be walking about like a fucking champion. So it's that, do you know, you've ruined it, you feel like a failure, you might as well write the day off. One meal or one night, right, doesn't undo your goals. You are not going to get fat from having a night out. You're not going to get ripped for eating one salad, neither. So it works both ways. It's about consistency. And it's about doing the things that are good for your health and are good for your goals most of the time. It's true. It's totally true. Yeah? Normal breakfast, plenty of water, movement, zero punishment, zero guilt. The guilt that you feel from overeating on calories will do you way more damage than the extra calories. I kid you not. So, back to choices, right? We've always got choices. And it's about you finding out the choices that suit you. So, do you actually need to finish the bottle? Do you actually need to clear your plate? Like, it's not the 1960s when you didn't get to leave the table until you've cleared your dinner plate, right? It's not that. We're all more aware about food waste, etc. these days, and portion sizes and portion control. So you don't have to do that. You don't have to clear the plate. Like, you're not the human bin. You're not responsible for eating your child's leftovers or anything like that. Now, you don't need to finish the bottle. I'll still be there tomorrow or the day after. And you don't need to stay longer than you want to. If you don't want to party till 2 o'clock, don't party till 2 o'clock. Stay till whenever you want and then go home. You're allowed to say no. Try and add a wee no thank you, like on the end of it. Try not to just say, no, that's a bit rude, but no thank you. You're also allowed to go home early. And you're also allowed to just be you. Just leave when it's time. Yeah. It is about how many is actually, I've totally done this in the past. How many is would be like the last man standing or the loudest or the most drunkest or the one at the bar getting shots, because that's what you've always done and everybody expects it from you. I've done that many a time. You don't have to. It's hard. It's like everything. You just need to practice it. It's hard. Everything's always hard at the beginning. Yeah? So think about, do you actually want this before you go to the event? What do you actually want from it? How will you feel after it? And are you actually choosing this behaviour or are you just reacting? Yeah, you get to choice. You get to choice. Continue with my epic grammar. You get to choose. So I would like you to take, if you could take nothing else from today, right? I want you to take this from today, all right? You do not need to stop socialising. You don't need to give up food or drink, obviously, because that would be ridiculous. At what point ever would I ever ask you to give up your favourite foods and your favourite drinks? Never. I would never do that. You definitely don't need to punish yourself for enjoying life. Absolutely not. And see if you listen to this, right? See if you decide that you're going to go to every single social event over Christmas and you're going to get hammered and you're going to have food and you're going to dance the tables and you're going to be the first up at the bar getting shots and you're going to have like the best time and you're going to lose half of that time being hungover. See if that's your choice and you want to do that. That is totally cool, by the way. Totally cool, all right? But just make the decision for yourself. Don't let the occasion dictate what you're going to do. Don't let somebody else dictate what you're going to do, all right? It is about choice. It's about knowing your body and your brain, and it's about knowing what you want to do. And if you don't know, try something and then think about it afterwards, and then you could maybe make some changes the next time, all right? So, overeating, overdrinking, overthinking. 3 good things. And as a wee PS, before I go, my On Fire group coaching is launching on the 19th of January. It's for midlife women who want food freedom, confidence, and consistency. So it's the stuff that we do before we do the fat loss. And it's the stuff that will help you stick to the sensible calorie deficit. Confidence, man. Very underrated. Very underrated. Anyway, if you're ready to feel in control around food and drink, and maybe just your own life, less chaos and all that malarkey, I'll be on the socials, alright? I'll be promoting it, but obviously you can message me anytime. I'm on Instagram as Coach Caris. I am on Facebook as Coach Caris. I have a YouTube channel as, you guessed it, Coach Caris. Give it a wee follow, my lovelies, and thanks for listening. Bye-bye.